As a perimenopausal woman, you may be reading articles, watching videos, or scrolling through social media, and you've been told to take all kinds of supplements. Everyone has an opinion on what might be helpful for you, but it's really hard to know if it is actually helpful or if it's just hype. Last time we talked about supplements that I most often recommend for women in midlife and why. But what about all those other bottles that you have in your cabinet? So, today we're going to take a closer look at probiotics, fiber, iron, calcium, and collagen, and talk about what they're actually good for and help you decide if they may make sense for you. Let's talk about probiotics. Why would you want to do a probiotic? So, our gut is made of trillions of bacteria, some beneficial, some harmful, some just hanging out there. And a probiotic is actually just different strains of bacteria. What we want to do is keep that balance of good bacteria to not good bacteria in check. So we need the rest our food. It supports our immune system. It helps regulate inflammation. It communicates with our brain through the gut brain axis. If we have a happy gut, we have a happy brain. Now, over time, our diet, the highly processed foods, the high sugar foods, our stress, illnesses, medications like antibiotics, poor sleep, and just the lifestyle we live can affect that balance of the bacteria. So we tend to get more of the not so beneficial bacteria overtaking the beneficial bacteria. Now, add in perimenopause. As our estrogen begins to decline, it affects our gut microbiome, affects the estrogen, and that's when we start to see things come up like bloating, constipation, gas, diarrhea, food sensitivities that we may not have had before. We also have a vaginal and urinary microbiomes, and that decline in estrogen is going to affect them. And we start getting more UTIs, dryness, irritation all down there. I love to talk foods first because food is medicine, and that's where we get our nutrients from. Now, there's times when maybe we can't get enough of the food, it just may not be working for us, whatever. Then you can go back and rely on supplements. So, when we're talking probiotics food first, let's talk about fermented foods. So, things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, or miso. Now, when you're eating fermented foods, we don't know exactly what strains of bacteria you're getting, and we know specific strains help specific things. We have specific strains that are going to help with some of your perimenopause symptoms. We have specific strains that can help with the vaginal, the urinary microbiomes. So, if you're wanting to get a better variety, know what you're getting, you can get into looking at probiotic supplements instead of just the food. Next, you're being told take fiber or get enough fiber. So, why do you want to do fiber? First of all, as we were just talking about the probiotics, you've decided to take a probiotic. Fiber is actually what feeds those beneficial bacteria in there. It's the highly processed sugary foods that are feeding the not so good bacteria. So, making sure you're feeding those. But you need it to help keep your bowels regular. And as we've already talked about, that gut slows down in midlife as our estrogen is declining. So, you need that to help keep things moving through. And it helps support a healthy cholesterol level. So, when we talk about getting fiber, how much should you be getting? Daily recommendation 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. So you can get it through your fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains. So getting a good variety of those with your meals through the day. If you're not able to get enough of that, that's when you can work on adding in a supplement. So the fiber supplement I would recommend is psyllium. You mix it in with water and drink it. And you want to make sure you're drinking plenty of water when you're doing fiber just to help keep things moving along also. Okay, let's talk about iron now. So iron is a mineral that is needed to make hemoglobin, which is the protein in your red blood cells. And that's going to carry oxygen around the body. And if you don't have enough, you're going to feel more fatigued. You're going to have brain fog, function, concentration issues. Your physical endurance is not going to be as good, and it can even affect your immune function. So during perimenopause, some women can have heavy bleeding, and over time, this can lead to an iron deficiency. Once our periods stop, once we no longer have periods going on, we're not losing that blood, then iron doesn't become as crucial. Okay, what are those high iron sources of food? Your best sources are red meats, and then poultry and seafood is in there also. You can use plant based like legumes, spinach, green leafies. There's iron fortified cereals and breads. Those are helpful. And when it comes to those plant sources, vitamin C is needed to help your body convert the iron that is in that form in the plant into a usable form. So, making sure if you're using some of those to take something with vitamin C or eat something with vitamin C in it. Also, on another note, you want to make sure you're watching calcium, coffee, and tea because they can affect the absorption of iron also. Now, some things to think about with iron supplements. You don't want to take them just because you're tired, because there's so many reasons we're tired in perimenopause. If you are getting too much iron, that can be dangerous for us also. So if you're have the heavy bleeding, you're struggling, talk with your doctor. If they have the capability, your iron can be checked with just a little finger prick. Next, let's talk about calcium. So calcium is important in all stages of life, but where does it become important during perimenopause? The one thing we know most about calcium is it's important for bones. So, as estrogen begins to decline, it helps speed up bone loss. So, it's important to be making sure you're getting enough calcium. And calcium is also important for muscle and nerve function and helps your heart function normally. Talking about food sources of calcium, we all know the dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese. You can get calcium fortified plant milks, calcium set tofu. Use canned fishes like sardines, salmon, they have the bones canned with them. You can do leafy greens like kale, bok choy, and collards. Spinach is not a good one when it comes to calcium just because of the oxalates in there that are going to prevent some calcium absorption. When it comes to a calcium supplement, your body is going to absorb calcium best in doses of about 500 milligrams or less at one time. Vitamin D is really important in the absorption of calcium, and we have talked about vitamin D in our previous video. And as we've talked about, calcium can interfere with the absorption of iron. So making sure if you're taking both of them, to take them at different times a day. And then we have collagen. So, collagen is the most abundant protein in our body. It's the major building block for your skin, joints, bones, tendons, ligaments, and all the connective tissues. And as we age, it just naturally begins to decline in production. Estrogen is important in the production of collagen. So, as that estrogen declines, so does that collagen production. Collagen is found through the proteins that you're eating. So, getting that good variety of meats, fish, chicken, eggs, and even bone broth is important. Just balancing those out through the day and making sure you're getting some vitamin C in there because that helps with your body with the production of collagen. Now, when it comes to collagen supplements, they're most helpful for skin elasticity and hydration. You may find some improvement with joint comfort in certain people, and there's even emerging evidence that it's going to support bone health when combined with resistance exercises and adequate amounts of calcium and vitamin D. So, collagen may or may not be very helpful for you. Now, remember, not every supplement is going to be right for every woman. So, your symptoms, your health history, any medications you're taking, and even your lab work all can play a role in helping you decide if it's appropriate for you. And if you're not sure where to start, it's a good idea to have a conversation with your healthcare provider. There's always going to be another article, another video, another influencer talking about the next must have supplement. But more isn't always better. The goal isn't to take everything, it's just to understand what your body needs and choose the supplements for your health, your symptoms, and your goals. Now, you've decided the supplement might be worth considering for you. There's one more question. How do you know what's on the label is actually what's in the bottle? So, next time we're talking about how to actually shop for quality, it can save you money and a whole lot of frustration. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, wondering where to start, let's just sit down and chat. We'll look at the whole picture and create a plan that makes sense for your body, your symptoms, and your goals because you get to do midlife your way. If you'd like to work through it together, you can schedule a time with me using the link in the description below.